Number one. And secondly, did LSU pull the trigger on Les Miles at the right time or the wrong time, or should they have? I'll start out by taking the subject of Les Miles, okay, which I think is really the one people are talking about. We knew going in this was going to be his last year, one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And you can't have the kind of offense he's had there, Cam Cameron, with a super player like Fournette and not get more out of him. Right. This is a game, as Steve Spurrier told me the other night, had it gone the other way and there were 2 more seconds on the game and Auburn had lost, guess who would have gotten fired? Yeah.
The other guy.
Miles would have been fired and not Les Miles. That was one of those games somebody's head was going to roll. So I think Les Miles was stubborn. He didn't react. He didn't respond. And the result on the scoreboard was not good. Joe Oliva had no choice. And by the way, if he let them stay around, he would probably last the season, and people would be saying, hey, keep him. So I think it was the right time, right thing. You guys?
I think that Les Miles has forgotten this hit in the 1970s, and 3 yards in a cloud of dust doesn't cut it in the SEC anymore. He refused to go to a 21st century offense because he thought he could run Fournette, Herschel Walker times, 34, 35 times a game. It wasn't working. It hasn't worked, and it cost him his job. And I think you do it in the middle of the season so you can cut bait. In the Deep South, you call it cut bait and move the boat.
September. It's only September.
Cut bait and move the boat.
Absolutely. I think after the loss the other day, the writing was on the wall, whether it happened this week, right now, right away, or whether it happened at the end of the year. And I know the argument about, perhaps Les playing himself back into the job a la 2015, but I don't think that was going to happen. He could have run the table, and the time is now to make the move. You've got to change the scenery and get somebody who's more up to date in there, because when you've got a guy like Leonard Fournette in your backfield and you can't take better advantage of that weapon than they are, that's on the coaching staff.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting what happens. By the way, guys, a lot of interesting names out there. One of them being bandied around right now, Urban Meyer. Wow. He may be our guest later in the week. Okay, real quick. The SEC. Alabama's corrected everything now. They got their quarterback. They're playing pretty well. Is it Alabama's to win or lose? It so goes their fortune, so go the SEC championship. Who wants to go?
This is an easy one for me. Tennessee, while beating Florida, still did not impress me enough. I also saw what they did against App State and Ohio, so I don't think that they can beat Alabama. Georgia got embarrassed this weekend. I don't think they can beat Alabama. And we know what happened to Florida this weekend. Right. And I definitely don't think anybody in the West other than Ole Miss could have beat Alabama, and Alabama's already beat them. So the only way Alabama loses the SEC championship is if somehow the bus gets lost on the way to Atlanta and they don't make the game.
I agree with you, Schmitty. I don't necessarily think that Alabama is the favorite to win it all this season. In fact, if I were an odds maker, I would put them third on my list of best bets to win the national championship. But in the SEC, their biggest rival, Auburn, not a factor. LSU, they're coaching right now, even though Coach Orgeron is going to do a great job as an interim guy. It's not going to be good enough against Nick Saban. And Tennessee's on its way, but not good enough, and there's nobody else in the East that really is going to challenge Bama in my mind. So Bama will be in the college football playoff.
Not so fast, my friend. That was that first half against, as a team, and Ole Miss played them pretty well. Tennessee's not done yet. They're better than what you're giving them credit for. It's not going to be a waltz. I think right now I would favor Alabama. I'm not giving them anything yet. It's the SEC, big boy football. You got to earn it, and so far, Alabama has not earned it.
You just are mad that Nick Saban was a bully.
That too. That's it for the dudes of the square table. Tom, Buddy. Thanks for listening and watching. So, everybody, it's easy to pick Alabama. I mean, that's like low-hanging fruit right now.
Well, like I said, on the national level, they're not my number one team. They're about my number 3 team.
Well, USC's not one of them.